I believe like all of you are good in English. When I say good, I just don't mean just speaking or reading, I mean comprehending. Now, when we look at the reading test, as you know, it is for 65 minutes and you have 52 questions. That is, you have a plus of 13 minutes. You should be using it wisely. The writing and language, which is critical writing, is for 35 minutes and you have 44 questions. That means there is a deficiency of 9 minutes. And then we have an essay for 50 minutes. Let's go deeper into how to solve it, which, of course, my idea here is to initiate the conversation. The chat box is open. Please keep on writing and also jot down the points which you wish to ask towards the last. Yeah. My intention is to break stigmas. Let's start with our what you call critical reading. The stigma with critical reading is that it is the toughest. Well, let me tell you, it is the easiest. It is not the why it is easiest. Why is the technique used to actually do the problem right. There's something called a blurb. Now, when you start a passage, there is what you call words written in italics. There'll be ideas given in italics. We have to attach a why when we think we have encountered the crux of the problem or the crux of the matter. The whole passage might be related to that, and questions will be related to that. Please don't have any baggage as you enter into the class. I meant baggage of knowledge. Most of you are planning for science because India, being the labor head of the world, we create laborers, and so science or industrialization has actually brought about this job opportunities. I would suggest that even though you're in science, you might have to read passages related to literature, about memoirs, about history, novels. Let me tell you, the passages there are there with questions. You have to answer it and flag. You're not there to read, or you're there to read, but you're not there to understand. You're there to read and understand and not learn. Be specific about it. You're there to read and understand, mark the questions correctly, not to learn from the passages. You are not going to learn anything which is of use from those passages. As of now, let's keep it that way. So you should not have any attachments or detachments in the sense, okay, I will do passages related to science. I will not touch history. History is boring. Literature is boring. Science is God. Or for the humanities, the commerce students, like science is boring. Commerce is God, or whatever. We don't need any of those. Passages are given for a purpose. They have selected it now. Around 50 to 60 people actually create that question paper of yours, which is tested on around 400 to 800 people around them in the colleges in the US. So they try to make it secular, the paper secular and error-free. Okay, the only thing you need for English is vocabulary, and that won't start in a short period of time. It has to be, it is something that you have to fall in love with. Okay, you have to start reading, and I would say, I'll give you some techniques as to how to build the English part. Big kids again. Your children, I understand, be younger, be like 2-3-year-old, yeah. Kids, as we all, like when we are born, we don't start speaking, we start listening, we start observing. So movies, TED Talks, serials, sitcoms, anything to do with English, yeah, please listen to it without subtitles. Okay, again I repeat, no baggage, no need to know all subjects to crack CR, no attachments or detachments. Questions are solved to gain marks, not knowledge. Vocabulary is a must. Now, how do you study it? We have here a system of open boxes and closed boxes. Open boxes are when we find a word and we find a related word, we will actually write it down in our open box. And there'll be an easy meaning in that open box. So that the list of hard words, okay, can be actually connected to that one easy meaning in that box. Let me tell you, there are no perfect synonyms, no perfect antonyms. It's all contextual. So you have to actually understand the context and answer it. So learn as many words as possible. Yes, I understand in the present CR, vocab-based questions are not asked, unlike the previous pattern. But let me tell you, you won't be able to comprehend those passages comfortably if you don't have a mastery over the language, over the words. So it's a must. Now, yeah, probably I'll ask this later. Now, words and then their meanings should be known in detail. Example, can you tell me the difference between illustrate and demonstrate? This comes in the questions. You can use the chat box. Illustrate means what and demonstrate means what. I'll give you time. Illustrate is showing. Very good. Demonstrators? Demonstrate is showing practically, while illustrate is verbally giving an example. No, Sanjana, that's incorrect. Illustrate means describing something. You have to be a little more specific. Describing, demonstrating is doing it. Okay, closer. Very good, Smithy. Okay, just to give a small example and finish it off. Illustrate is what you see in your books, yeah, chemistry books. You'll see the illustrations. Illustrate is showing. That answer has already been stated by Smithy. Great. Demonstrate is proving. So when questions come as, which of the following examples or which of the options demonstrate, which of the options prove, there's a tiny difference between proving and showing. Okay, showing need not be always proving. So learn showing and proving first, then go to understand what illustrate and demonstrate means. Similarly, I'll give you another example of sarcasm and satire. Sarcasm and satire. What's the difference between sarcasm is indirect insult? Wow, good. Satire means making fun in a positive way. Okay, satire is direct attack. Okay, very good. And sarcasm is yes, satire is satire is fun. Satire is fun. Okay, fine. So sarcasm is indirect insult. Very good. And satire is direct insult. Let's keep it that way. So these differences you will need to know, because this is again directly connected to tones. Although tone words are not asked specifically like the previous pattern of SAT, where what is the tone of line number 41 to 43. Right now what they do is you should understand the tone of the passage completely. There are questions related to that when you actually start solving it. Now, when I put vocabulary is a must plus tone words, try to get hold of your previous SAT papers and you will get what you call, we have a collection of around 141 tone words, which every kid needs to do when they start their training with us. They need to master it, and then occasionally we have games with that. Now, these tone words are vocabulary only. There's no difference. When I use vocabulary, tone words are a part of it. The thing is, tone words are specific as to understanding what the tone is, whereas vocabulary encompasses or encapsulates everything. Okay. Words and the meaning should be known in detail. Example was illustrate, demonstrate, sarcasm, satire, the meaning like that. Then there is fun words, like exasperate and exacerbate and fun with spelling and all. Let's not make it, I know it's complicated. Okay, I understand English is complicated, but the moment you approach this with a complicated mind, you won't get it. Let's have fun with it. That FUN element is important. Yeah. Next is find the passages which are easy. Now, how do you know this? Easy are the ones where you can solve and get the answer right. It need not be always question number 1, and it need not be always the first passage. Yes, I understand 6 SAT question papers are available on the net for everyone to access. Please don't do those tests in the evenings. Always do it at around 9:30 in the morning, and please always schedule those tests at least 10 days before your actual SAT or ACT. ACT, you have a number of papers on cracksat.net, and we have crackact.net or something like that, which our students actually use. That's a lot of papers for ACT. Well, because of the pattern change, we have few on the present pattern of SAT. But let me tell you, if you solve the previous SAT passages, it will give you a good insight as to what the paper is. Difficulty level, even the American universities have acknowledged that the present SAT is easier than the previous one. One main reason is no negative marking. So please make sure that you solve it with a lot of love. Enjoy it. The CR, finding the passages which are easy. Once you practice, you will understand like, okay, this passage is easier for me to comprehend. So hence, logically, the questions also will be easy to answer. Mind you, sometimes they'll give a tough passage, easy questions. Sometimes the passage might be tough, competitive, not tough, competitive, and the questions will be easy to approach. Let me tell you, asking the question why to the main crux of the passage will lead you to the right turn. A wrong why is definitely a wrong turn. Make notes when you practice. I understand when we start doing the passages here, for a 25-minute passage or for 10 questions, we might take 1.5 hours. It's okay, doesn't matter. Do at least 20 or 30 of such passages. Anything that you can read, go to the websites. Like I said, when you listen to the serials and sitcoms, read about it. Go to Wikipedia, go right below where they give the references. Read text on philosophy. Read text. Okay, read text which you hate in school. Start with that. If you don't like something, read that again. Get used to it. Keep your, like Chanakya said, keep your enemies closest than your friends. So keep those passages which you get pissed off, okay, keep those passages close to you. Let them be really near you. Find the words, find the passages, and find the, what do you call, juxtapositions. They might use metaphors, they might use a couple of words here and there to actually confuse you. Get it right. So while you practice, make notes, not just underlining. Make notes. If you're answering a question why, you will actually draw spokes and say why, because of this, why, because of this, why, because of this. There might be 3 or 4 subsets or sub questions to that. Don't worry, it'll take time. For those who are not really good in English, this is the only way out. There's no shortcut actually. Like, earlier we had, right, read the first paragraph, then read the second paragraph, then read the last paragraph. You'll get a, tone of the passage. Well, it's not the case. Even the people who set the question papers now know that, the children are going to do this, and they circumvent it, they work around it, and they confuse you, and finally you end up with a lot of errors. Let that not be the case. Enjoy the language. It is not easy. It is not our mother tongue. We are learning it because of a reason. It is not to probably learn the language even, but to get where we have to. Then one more thing, what I found, when students are practicing CR, is that they sleep. Okay, they sleep in the class. There are kids who start with CR and after the first paragraph they sleep. I tell you, lack of sleep, proper timings of food will invariably affect your marks. Okay, invariably. That's why I tell you not to take the test at 4 o'clock in the evening, because you have to report by 7:30. By 9:20 the exam starts. You have to practice it at that time itself. If you sleep late, get up late, if you have the American time zone in India of your waking up and sleeping well, then you're not going to actually survive this exam, because this is not just a content-based test. This is a psychological test. The whole SAT, I'm saying, not just CR. It's a psychological test. It is testing your endurance. It is testing your alertness. It is testing you as a person, whether you are ready for their term rigor of college there. So please always have your schedule right. You have to do your extracurriculars. Everything is required, but in between you have to get into that learning English mode. Okay, force it upon yourself initially. Make those boxes of words. Understand the difference between words. Start using it in your chat. Okay, start. Show off in school if that's necessary. Yeah, try to learn it that way. Okay, Chal. The next we'll go for. Okay, this is okay. Give an example. Of what a CR could be. This is a portion of the CR. It starts with the conflict known as the Trojan War has captured the Western imagination for thousands of years. Even at the time of the Greek poet Homer, that's not important, whose epic poem, the Iliad, describes an event in the conflict. The war was already considered a legendary occurrence. Full stop. In this passage, the author addresses the question, did the Trojan War actually happen? My question to you is, where will you attach the why? How will you start analyzing this passage? Where will you start? So see the movie Troy. It'll give you an idea of what the Trojan War was. It's exciting, it's entertaining. And coming back to this, where will you attach the why? Please answer, and then we'll go forward. The why. Where will you attach a why? Why means, what is the passage about? You need to analyze, right? So before did, they've given you a question there, right? That's not the place you should attach a why to start off this passage. This passage should be started off with the conflict. Why is there a conflict? That should be your first why. The conflict. That should be your first why. Not did the Trojan War actually happen. Now, like I said, this comes only with practice. Because once you answer that why, in the ancient world, it was almost uniform belief was a historical event. Then where's the conflict? Where's the conflict? The philosopher Anaxagoras was one of only a handful known to have doubted it. So there's a conflict, like whether it happened or not. You understand? So did the Trojan War actually happen? Is not the actual, because once you start with this conflict, you will actually write conflict, put 2 spokes. Most almost uniform belief, but second one is X. And in your passages, don't take time to read the names of people, please. It's a waste of time. Put X and Y there. Okay, Trojan, almost uniform belief that the Trojan War was a historical event. X believed it's not to be the case. On the grounds that no proof. Okay, proof is in italics. Now that's a key to us. So why is there a conflict? Probably we can end with no proof. But if you start with why, did the Trojan War actually happen? Why? If you attach that, there is no proof, that element of proof is not so visible. So start with this. It does not mean that the first word or the first sentence in the blurb, B-L-U-R-B, is not known as a blurb. What's in italics is known as a blurb. So what's in a blurb? The first part need not be the point where you put a question mark. It might be once the passage starts. Okay. So that comes from practice. That actually, I was telling my friends also, since this is the God app, you guys will become God once you can understand where the question is going to be asked. If you reach that level, your CR is done. There is no shortcut for this. Okay, it won't be probably understood. Like let's have a question for that. The unique paradox referred to line something is that. Okay. Again, this is kind of, you need a board and all that to actually solve it. Was the uniform paradox in line number 7. It is a paradox unique in historiography. When the father of history, Herodotus, who lived in the 5th century BC, asked Egyptian priests, whose chronicles covered many centuries, whether the Greek story of the war was true, he was simply asking whether they had any record of it. Okay. Why is it a paradox? Now, second why, when we are answering those questions, the second why would be, it is a paradox unique. Why is it a paradox? It's a paradox. Okay. The line before it actually helps you with a little bit of insight. Everyone knew there was no historical record of the war. Equally, they knew that it had happened. Now, that's a paradox. But there are keywords now. Again, when you open a box, you have to have the techniques of, or the, words like paradox, irony, simile, metaphor. These are commonly used words. Okay, you need to know the meanings of all these words. So now this is a paradox. There is a tiny difference between paradox and irony. Simile is that, metaphor is this. You need to have, that's a separate box, which is basically, it's an insight for ourselves that these kind of words should be known by us completely. Okay, are you all following? Okay, this is just an example. Okay, means questions we have to read the passage simultaneously, so it's okay. Okay. Okay, Shubham, thank you. You have to understand this. If you attach the question why correctly, with 1 month of practice, with tough passages, you will get your questions right. Trust me. Okay, trust me on this. Okay, the most important thing is trust anyway. Chalo. Now, where's the?